Mr. Paul Mank started his career in the intern program and rose through the ranks to become acting deputy director of DLA Disposition Services. He was known as a resolute advocate for his employees, peers, and leaders, and a highly valued member of the organization. A model of integrity with broad expertise and sound judgment, he assisted senior leaders through his field service, environmental service, information management, and operations service governing federal surplus property management and sales. Mr. Michael Cannon, Director of DLA Disposition Services, will discuss how Mr. Mank was a keystone of that organization's leadership team for 34 years. Mr. Mank is being inducted into the Hall of Fame posthumously. His wife, Mrs. Mary Beth Mank, will speak on his behalf.
Paul Mank is an icon in disposition services. He's a known name. He helped form what we are today. He started working with us when we were, as most people know, DRMS, DRIMS, and DERMO, into what is today DLA Disposition Services. He helped us bring on our current IT systems, EBS and DSS, the systems that we track disposal property, and he really molded our footprint. He helped set up our big hubs at San Antonio and at Norfolk and Warner Robins, 3 locations that are 3 of our major locations today, and how our network is developed is around the hubs that he created. Paul Mank left his impact on the people of disposition services. He was a leader, a mentor, a coach, a cajoler, just a people person. He helped guide me in my first 6 months as the director. He was the acting deputy director. People that we look at in disposition services who are considered, the key leaders, the Sherry Lowe's who left an indelible mark on DLA, the Arthur Welsh's, he's the director, my director of operations, me. We all look back and we point to Paul Mank as the person who developed us. I mentioned, him bringing in our computer systems and leading that whole effort. I mean, that was big, and that's a huge mark. But the most important thing Paul did was he developed today's leaders in disposition services. We're here because of Paul. In his office, when he was working with us, he had a round plaque that looked like a peace sign, but in the middle, instead of a peace sign, is a B-52, a plane I worked on for many, many years in the Air Force. And it says around the outside, peace the old-fashioned way, right? That's our warfighter support. And I commented to him how that's very cool. I really like that. He was diagnosed with terminal cancer on a Friday, and decided he was going to devote the rest of his life to Mary Beth and his family, and work was done. When I came into work on Monday, that was sitting on my desk with a note from him saying, "Hey, I want you to have this. It's on my wall, and it always will be." We couldn't do warfighter support the way we're doing it without the things that Paul did for his over 30 years in the organization. And again, personally, developed the leaders that you see when you come to Battle Creek and across our field locations. Our senior leaders, to a person, were impacted by Paul and his leadership and his coaching and his mentoring and his friendship. Mary Beth, Mank family, I just want to thank you for sharing Paul with us, for allowing him to be such a huge part of DLA Disposition Services. He molded our organization, he molded our footprint, and he molded our people to what we are today. He is so deserving of this recognition. I just wish there was more we can do. We'll never forget him. His picture's still on my desk. His plaque is still on my wall. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
I would like to thank the Defense Logistics Agency for bestowing on my husband, Paul Mank, this highest of honor. Paul passed in 2016, so while he's not here, in his regular familiar form. It's my belief system that he is here and that he is fully aware of this honor that has been given to him, and he's as thrilled as I am. Paul worked at DLA for 35 years of his career before passing, and he told me that of all his accomplishments in his career, his very long career, the thing he was proudest of was any of the humanitarian efforts that DLA accomplished. So, for example, when Hurricane Katrina devastated that area of our country, Paul's organization was responsible for helping people and shipping them equipment and help and whatever they needed to survive and get back on their feet. And he was most proud of that. I also would like to thank, in particular, two of Paul's colleagues, Pete Foreman and Mike Cannon. Paul considered these exemplary men close friends and colleagues. And when Paul passed, both of them were so incredibly supportive to me. Pete Foreman and his family just put their arms around me and took care of me. And Mike Cannon invited me to the Federal Center in Battle Creek, where Paul worked, this magnificent, beautiful building that houses the DLA operation there. And he invited me to come and share some coffee with him one day. So luckily I knew enough to kind of get dressed up for this occasion. And I went there and met Mike for the first time. Paul has spoken of him with great affection and admiration. And I could see why, because Mr. Cannon welcomed me warmly, and we reminisced about Paul and shared some laughs about fun things that were common to both of us. And then Mr. Cannon said to me, Mary Beth, I would like to show you Paul's award that's on a career service award that is on a wall here, our wall of fame. And so he took me down a hallway and showed me Paul's plaque. And then he said to me, I have a few friends I'd like you to meet. I said, okay. And so we walked a little bit further, and Mr. Cannon opened the door to a room filled with military and civilian people who stood up. And when I caught my breath, Mr. Cannon explained to me that they had a few awards for Paul, and they heaped so many awards on him. And the last award, the final award Mr. Cannon gave me, was an award for taking care of Paul. It was so moving and so heart-rendering that it just made such an imprint on my heart. Paul always said that if you were any good at your job, they would remember you for 2 weeks. So I think the fact that 5 years after his passing, the people at DLA are honoring him and remembering his contribution must mean that he did a spectacular job. So on behalf of Paul and me, certainly from my heart, thank you to all of my friends at DLA. As one of the members in the organization said to me, we consider you family, and I you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.